Hi, this is John Bates at the Eastern Oregon Agricultural Research Center. In this week's Ag Minutes, I will be discussing poisonous plants and their effects on livestock in the western United States. Poisonous plants are a major cause of economic loss to the western livestock operations. Each year, these plants adversely affect 3 to 5% of the cattle, sheep, and horses that graze western rangelands. These losses mostly occur when animals graze infested range, when plants are most toxic, graze in heavy stands of plants that are highly poisonous, such as larkspur or lupin, graze in overutilized range, forcing animals to consume poisonous plants not normally part of their diet, and grazing on rangelands early in the spring when there is little green vegetation available except poisonous plants. Each year, poisonous plants adversely affect 3 to 5% of the cattle, sheep, and horses that graze western ranges. There are few known treatments if animals are poisoned. To protect your animals from poisoning requires actively preventing animal exposure to these plants. There is a lot of information available through extension publications and research websites. An excellent source of information is the U.S. Department of Agriculture Ag Research Service Poisonous Plants Lab, located in Ogden, Utah. They recommend learning to identify the poisonous plants that grow on your range and the conditions under which these plants can be dangerous to your livestock. Grazing ranges at the proper time and not overutilizing them can reduce losses. Provide adequate water, salt, and other supplements for your livestock. Finally, control poisonous plants where economically feasible. The rest of the week I will focus on plants that livestock managers should be most concerned with when grazing in the spring. There are several poisonous plants dangerous to livestock that appear early in the spring before other forage begins growth. Larkspur, consisting of 4 different species in our region, causes heavy cattle losses in western range states. Larkspurs grow in sagebrush steppe, juniper woodlands, forests, and meadows. Plants are most toxic during early growth. The toxic substances are mixtures of several alkaloids. Larkspurs are more palatable to cattle after flowering. These alkaloids and their relative toxicity and concentrations vary between individual plants, at different locations, and between larkspur species. The method of toxicity has been identified as a neuromuscular paralysis, leading to respiratory failure, bloat, and often death. Poisonous plants that appear early in the spring before other forage begins growth are especially dangerous to livestock. Death camas is one of the first plants to begin growth and can cause serious livestock losses. Death camas generally flowers in April and May. At higher elevations, the plant may flower in late June and July. Unless there is sufficient good quality forage, death camas may be heavily grazed. Sheep are most likely to eat death camas, and they are poisoned more frequently than cattle and horses. All parts of the plant contain toxic steroidal alkaloids that cause cardiovascular failure. Plants are toxic throughout the year. However, poisonings occur most often in the spring when death camas is relatively abundant. For sheep consuming death camas, 0.5% to 6% of their body weight can be fatal. Astragalus species, commonly referred to as milk vetch or locoweed, is another poisonous plant that should be of concern to livestock operators. Over 260 species and varieties of milk vetch contain varying amounts of nitrotoxins, which are commonly the toxic ingredient in these plants. These toxins are believed to interfere with cardiovascular function. Cattle of all ages are highly susceptible. Even when other forage is available, cattle readily eat some of these milk vetch species. Plants are poisonous throughout the growing season. 2 pounds of green milk vetch may be a lethal dose for a 1,000-pound cow. Symptoms may be mistaken for larkspur poisoning. Acutely poisoned animals generally show muscular weakness, progressing to paralysis. Milk vetch toxins act quickly with most animals that ingest lethal doses, dying in 4 to 25 hours. Thanks for listening. Join us again next week for the Oregon Ag Minute.